Η ζωή είναι για να τη μοιράζεσαι.
Η Άλισον Δαμιανού με τους φίλους της βρήκαν το δικό τους τρόπο να φτιάξουν μια εντελώς διαφορετική αγορά, το Meat Market, για να μοιράζονται τις δικές τους δημιουργίες. Αν το ψάχνεις και εσύ έτσι, μπες στο swap.gr και βρες απίθανα πράγματα για να ανταλλάξεις με δικά σου. Όπου υπάρχει Νέσκαφε φραπέ, υπάρχει τρόπος.
Livity began life in 2001. My previous experience had been in marketing, and I could see the awesome power in brands and marketing and the effect they had on young people. And my interest in the time around the groups of young people who are often excluded in society, there wasn't infinite budgets or power put behind them. I think part of the challenge with the people out there who have the ambition to save the world is that the bigness of that statement actually needs to be achieved in very small and incremental steps, because that's actually how we change anything. So there is a challenge to do with patience. But yes, Livity has been operating for 12 years. We work with some of the world's biggest brands, from Google to Nike. We only work on projects that we believe and we can prove are demonstrating social change. And the key to Livity is that our doors are open to young people absolutely every single day. We receive insight from those young people, unlike any other agency can, that we pass on to our clients in exchange for what is often a life-changing opportunity and experience that we pass on to our young people. A project that defines where Livity is at currently is something that we're working on with Google. It's a program called Advantage, and it takes into account the million young people in the UK who are currently determined as not in education, employment or training. Now, it's my belief that there's one qualification that they pretty much all have, and that's their status as digital natives. So we're working with Google to create harder digital skills that those young people can go and demonstrate in the world. Because at the same time, the one skill they all have is their digital understanding. The one skill most of our employers and businesses need is the digital skills and understanding to help them translate their business into the future. So we can close the gap that seems like an insurmountable problem of 40 million young unemployed people if we start thinking about them as 40 million young, skilled digital communicators. In terms of the practicality for something like Advantage, we went out and we worked with a lot of projects already engaged with young people. Housing projects, children's support networks, to refer to us young people who they could see already were expressing an interest in the digital space. Until we were able to feel very confident that we had a group of young people not only would meet our employers' expectations, but for whom it would truly be a life-changing program. So that we create a flagship, we create a real benchmark to speak to other employers across all industries that actually one of their biggest skills gaps can be addressed in a way that creates social change. So I believe that's really the answer that we're missing. If we can address these social issues in a way that makes sense to our economic wheels and isn't just a policy issue, we can begin to make change. I think one of the big surprises around the riots that took place in London was how surprised everyone actually was. It's one of the most tragic parts of the story. Without excusing criminal behaviour which was wrong, in effect, many of those young people were led into that place. And yeah, I very much believe there's a real chance of seeing those kind of scenes again unless serious action is taken to provide opportunities to our young people who are otherwise systematically denied opportunity, and we systematically waste their lives. In terms of working relationships with government, it's obviously essential that there's a dialogue between all the important aspects of society. But my real belief is that the traditional forms of social control haven't delivered the results that we want. And for me, as an optimist, one of the positive outcomes that comes from us all losing complete faith in government and the systems of control is that we'll take more control ourselves. The biggest shift, the biggest trend shift I see in young people is a shift towards entrepreneurialism. And the percentage of them now who believe they can create their own enterprise, to create their own economic independence and assert themselves on society and economy and the future is massive. It's absolutely transformed. And my hope within that, what gives me real inspiration and optimism, is the number of those young entrepreneurs who are becoming social entrepreneurs. Because young people can see from a lot earlier age the opportunity we have. And I think there's a growing generation who don't have to succeed before they give back. There's a growing opportunity you've never taken in the first place. Social enterprise is the method of business applied to a social purpose that generates its own income and redistributes part of its profits. Social enterprise is an emerging trend, which is great. The main driver of our society is economy and business. And we've all begun to understand, if we hadn't already got there, that a lot of that system is fundamentally broken. And we cannot just pursue the relentless ambition for profits at social, environmental and human cost, because it doesn't work. So social enterprise is much more than a trend. Social enterprise is a business model that offers us a clue to a really sustainable future. I think we all understand the environmental costs, but the next one is social. And my personal belief, in terms of social enterprise, we've seen a number of trends that have emerged and actually become business drivers, from the steam engine to the light bulb to the internet. As important as those, if not more so, will be the trend of social impact in business. Youth unemployment is a serious problem everywhere. And secondly, when we're talking about it from an economic point of view and we're looking around in times of austerity for what cuts we're going to make, youth unemployment in the Eurozone costs 150 billion euros a year. A year. That's very nearly half of Greece's entire national debt. So if we were looking to make a cut, wouldn't that be the right cut to make? That social cost, that massive 150 billion euros, starts turning into social capital. And then something very interesting takes place. So I think the debate about whose fault it is and blaming it on young people is 3 steps away from where it needs to be, and it needs to be an economic argument. If there was a cut I would make, it would be there. Broadly speaking, when it comes to the problems facing all of us around young people and the social and economic impact they have, I am resolutely optimistic. I genuinely and honestly don't just think it's going to be fine, I think it can be great. I think what we have to do though, however, is no longer rely on the mechanisms of state and control that have failed and let us down and let our young people down. I think the biggest opportunity is for individuals to reach out and connect to young people and young adults in their societies, to find your way to them through the many youth organisations and groups that exist and create human connections, mentored relationships, opportunities together to work on goals in a defined period of time that will help both young people out of the situations they're in and each one of us understand the true potential of young people.